Hi everyone, this is Steph with Stampin' and Scrappin' with Steph, and today I have a really fun project to share with you. It's this really cool stationery box. You can probably find them on Pinterest as an explosion box, but not in the traditional sense because they don't really explode, they just kind of like flop open. But I made this project for a blog hop that I participate in every month, and our theme this month was tags, boxes, and bags. And this is one of those things that have kind of been on my to-do for a while, and I decided to just jump right in and give it a shot. And I don't know why I was so intimidated. I think sometimes things look like they're on the rather difficult side, and they turn out to just be easy enough to do. And a lot of my crafting is time constraint, so I don't like anything that really takes, a good chunk of time to do. But this one was super fun, and it's one of those things where, you can make a bunch of these and give them as gifts because they really are kind of neat when they're done. So if you don't know what a stationery box is or an explosion box, I'm going to show you. So everything is kind of held together by the lid, and I'm going to stand it up. So when you take the lid off, you kind of get that pop out. And a traditional explosion box is usually square, and when you take the lid off, all four sides will kind of pop down. This is just one because we've got some really fun pockets here that you can hold, stationary type of items. And for this one, I did some tags here, and there's 4 cards and 4 envelopes tucked in the back. Right now, these are just our Stampin' Up! Memories and More little cards that I haven't turned into cards. I've kind of contemplated what I want to do in this pocket, so I think until I really decide what I want to do, I don't want to rush through anything, because if I do give this as a gift, I want to give it complete. So many of the ones that I've seen in Pinterest will do like a little 3x3 card here, or a little notepad, depending on what you design, down on this flap. So for this one, I just covered a little post-it notes with the DSP, and then like the little pen loop here to hold it in. And then when you want to close up the box and you're done using it, you just kind of push it up and just hold the sides, and your lid just kind of hangs it all nice and tight there. Cute. All right, I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to show you some of the supplies that we need. So for this project, you will need a sheet of 12 by 12 paper. And so I know Stampin' Up! Hasn't carried much 12 by 12s lately, so I am using an older piece, but it's fine, and some current, but it's all Bermuda Bay. I should point that out. It's not retired paper, it's just the size of the 12 by 12 is hard to come by with Stampin' Up! So when I get it, I kind of hoard it, and but sometimes it's okay to let go. So 12 by 12, and you're going to trim it down to 10 by 12. Okay. Then you're going to need another piece that measures 6 1/8 by 10 1/8. And I will link my blog post that coordinates with this video down below, so you'll be able to see all the written measurements on this. So don't get worried if I go too fast or not. So here's, this one is 8.5 by 4 1/4, and then 2 little ones. This one is 2 by 5.5, and then this one is 2 by 4.5. Okay, so we're gonna start with some scoring. And I will say, you'll want a nice adhesive with this. You could use a snail or your sticky strip, kind of tear and tape type of stuff, but because the design is to use this and open and close it, I would suggest you know, the multi-purpose Tombow liquid glue, or you know, whatever favorite liquid glue that you have that has a good permanent type of a seal. So we're going to start with the 10 by 12. We're going to score it here on the 10-inch side, and we're going to make 2 score marks at, let's see, we're going to go for 2, and then we're going to score at 8. So 2 and 8. I'm going to turn our paper to the 12-inch side, and then we're going to score at 5 and then 7. All right. Now we're going to turn it back to the 10-inch side, and we're going to do 2 more scores. You could have done this all at once, but I like to turn it to get these side scores first, because when you come back and do this 2 other scores, you'll see this score line is like your stopping point. All right, so we need to score at 3/4 and 9 1/4. So we'll start with 3/4, and you want to stop when you reach this line. So 3/4 and then 9 1/4. So as you see, having this score line in, you know, allows you to stop. I mean, we could have started, I guess, scoring here first on the 12-inch side and then turning and doing all of the 10, but do whatever, you know, works best for you. I mean, it's not a big deal to kind of turn it back and forth, and it just keeps my mind in order as I'm doing this. There is a lot of steps, but it's not, I promise you, it's not that difficult. So let's set this one aside, and we're going to score the next piece, which is the 6 1/8 by 10 1/8. I'm going to start there. And on the 6 1/8 side, we are going to score at, let's see, this one we're going to do 2 and then 4 1/8. Okay, and then we're going to turn, and again we're going to score at 2 and then 8 1/8. Okay. And then we're going to work with the divider, and this is the 8.5 by 4 1/4 piece of paper. So on the 4-inch side, we're going to score at, let's see, let me score this one at 3, and then we're going to do, these are small pockets, so we're going to go, I don't think I have the right measurements. Score at 3. So I think this is 1 1/4, and then 7 1/4. Sorry about that. There's a lot of measurements down on my paper. So score at 3, 1 1/4, 7 1/4. All right, and then this is you can call this a divider or a pocket. This is that front part where we had the tags or the little cards. So this is the 2 by 5 1/2. And we're going to score with the 5 1/2-inch side up. Now this is how I did this one, and you can do it whatever way that works for you. But I'm going to score at, let's see, 4 1/2 and 5. And then I'm going to turn it 180. And then I'm going to do the same thing. 4 1/2 and 5. I mean, you could go 1/2 inch 1, 4 1/2 5, if you prefer to do it that way. I just like when it's a smaller piece to be able to hold my hand to do those small score lines. So it's just easier over here to do the larger ones first. But again, whatever works for you. And we're going to do the 4 1/2 by 2, and we're going to have the 4 1/2 one up, and the same thing, I'm going to score it at 3.5 and 4, spin it around and do the 3.5 by 4. And again, same measurements, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 3.5 and 4, if you prefer to do it all in one line. Okay, so that's the scoring. I'm going to set this scoreboard aside, and I'm going to bring back the 10 by 12. Now, there is a bunch of designer series paper that I used for this project, a lot of layers, and I will give you those once we put the box together. I don't want to get bogged down in the beginning with way too many cuts right away, because there's a lot to keep up with if you're following. But I am going to say I've used the Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper that's new in the holiday catalog. It's Santa Express. It is so cute. The stamp set is adorable as well. I didn't do any stamping in this project, which is crazy. I mean, you certainly could. You could decorate more, add some greetings, especially if you're giving it as a gift. You might want to spruce it up just a little bit. I happen to love the Ho 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 paper and how it kind of shows up, but this is, I mean, you can see I've used this pack quite often, but it's really cute. You've got images of, you know, Santa in a little train, and you can see the reverse side there is a snowflake, and then Santa with Mrs. Claus and a green stripe. This one says la 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 and some trees. And then this one's really neat because it's kind of like a striped scene going all the way down, so you could use that one for a lot of projects. And the reverse side is like little red with like stars, shooting stars. And then you'll see the gift one, the polka dots, and there's just little bits of the Ho 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 that I have left. And if you don't want this to be holiday, use whatever paper you want. I mean, if you want to have it more like an occasional type of stationery set, by all means, yeah. Choose whatever paper you like. It really doesn't have to be holiday based. It could be, you know, an all occasion box, a birthday box, whatever, or just plain note cards if you don't want a finished type of thing. So, all right, so we have our 10 by 12 here all scored. And you can see this section right here, the little square. Now you could remove this or you could keep it, and I'll show you what I mean. So before I do any folding on my score lines, I'm so sorry, I'm getting a tickle in my throat. You're just gonna cut up on those score lines. Okay, on both sides. And this is the only cutting that you'll need to do for the box. I know, crazy. All right, so this is basically the box. This is this whole part, okay? And then you've got the stand-up part. So this is the one whole piece right here, okay? And so from this section back where it has the 3/4 score lines, this is the part that's going to create here, the stand-up. And then this section here down below is where this front flap is going to come from, okay? So we are making this with designer series paper, yes. Excuse me, with cardstock with a layer of designer series paper. So you're going to have some stability. So if you would like to add a little bit more support, you could cut another piece of cardstock and add it to this section. And that just adds a little bit more support to the base of the box. I'm not doing that. I didn't do it at all. In other videos I've seen, people will take these two flaps and just fold them straight down. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to remove these two. But if you prefer, again, just you might have to do like a little bit of a miter cut, just a tiny strip, so that when this lays flat, it doesn't overlap on these score lines, because you want to make sure when the box folds up you have no resistance. You want it to be able to open and close very easily. So for me, I just am going to remove these two parts. I didn't find them really to be too necessary, but I like that there are, you know, some options to how everybody does things. You know, you might want to keep it there. I didn't really see a difference either way. So do what works for you. All right, so now here's what you have with the box. This is the top part. This is the bottom flap. So now you can go ahead and fold. Now I'm just using my hand. You can use the scoring tool if you prefer. Okay. And then, so now we have this 3/4 section here. Now this is the one I am going to glue down. So because I want that to lay pretty flat, I'm going to use my bone folder to give it a nice burnish. Because this part is holding all the cards, and you're going to be having your hands running on this, it's good to have a little bit of the extra support for that one. So I like to take my bone folder and kind of go over that spot. And then we'll do the opposite. Okay. And fold this side down. I like to use my bone folder to do this because I think it helps to push the glue all around. So now we're going to tuck that aside. And I'm going to bring my other layers out. And I'm going to work with this one, and that is our lid. All right, so not too difficult in the lid. We're just going to take some snips to here, these two sections on both sides. Yeah, this is what I did before. So trim up the score lines, and these little tabs we are keeping, so I am going to give a little cut out so it lays just a smidge better. And do the same on this side. All right. So I'm not going to glue the box just yet, the lid as well. We're going to add our designer series paper. So we're just gonna give this a quick fold. And then we'll talk about the paper. That's it for cutting, okay? For these little things here, actually, I think we just need to remove these little corners, so I do apologize on that. So take these out. All right. is all the cutting. Okay. So these are just going to get folded on the score lines for assembly, and we'll do that after we add our paper. So for the designer series paper, I chose a couple different patterns, all from the same paper pack. So the Ho 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 is the part that I used for the lid and the outside of the box. So we're gonna start there. And I don't know if you want to see, I'll try to keep everything in screen. So here's the box and how I did my layers. Okay. So for the box base itself, you will need 2 pieces of paper that is 5 3/4 by 4 3/4. And that is the front and the back side of the box. Okay. Then we need 2 sheets or 2 pieces that's 1 3/4 by 4 3/4, and that is the sides of the box. So right here. And you'll see they just kind of stick right on there. All right, and then for the lid, you need 3 pieces that's 1 3/4 by 5 3/4, and then 2 squares at 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. And it's a lot easier to put these all on before the box is glued. So we have our box base here, and I know this is the top because this is where we glued the 3/4 inch sides in. And then with my folds, we're going this way. So this is the inside of the box. I'm gonna flip it over to the outside. And I'm going to take one of these to go here. Oh my goodness, that's not cut right. I apologize. My daughter was helping me cut these. And let's just trim this really quick. I knew they looked a little long. I couldn't figure out why. All right, my apologies. So 5 3/4 by 4 3/4. It's been a long, busy week. My daughter's home from college and Thanksgiving, so things were a little crazy. So I do apologize. So this one's gonna go here. Hey, mistakes happen, right? So again, I'm just adding my glue all around. And stick this down. Now, this end here is a little tricky because when you're looking at it this way, you think your paper pattern should go this way. But when actuality, you need to flip a directional pattern upside down. So if you were just doing a stripe or polka dot or something floral that really has no direction to it, it doesn't matter if it's upside down or not. It won't make a difference when the box is closed. But because we're using a greeting, you know, and you can clearly see it says ho ho ho. If we were to leave the paper pattern here and you closed your box, which means this tab lifts up, you'll see that your words are upside down. Okay, so this side would be right side up, this side is upside down. So when you glue this on, you want to just glue it upside down, and then when the box closes, your greeting pattern will be in the right direction. So all 3 of these go upside down. And just add your glue. All right. To all your tabs. And again, like I said, you can use your liquid, your snail, excuse me, but I think after a lot of use, it's not gonna last. So the liquid glue is great. Plus, I think the liquid glue gives you like an extra layer of kind of thickness. All right, so that's the outside. I didn't add anything here because these are going to be folded in. You really won't see it once the box is closed, but you could certainly add a patterned paper there if you like. So now let's turn it over. Again, this is the top side of our box. We have our little folded in sides here, and then the bottom layer. So for this one, I didn't want the entire box to be all one paper pattern. So for the interior part, I used 2 different patterns. Well, 3 actually in total. So I used the stripes for down the bottom and these gift packages for here. All right. And I did add the little polka dot part, which is the reverse side of the gift package. Okay. So before we go any further with the other ones, let's glue these down. Now, this one, it doesn't matter which direction because it's not going to matter when you fold the box up. So there is gift boxes. The bows are all up towards the top. So, you know, if you were using that on the outside, you would have to worry about that bottom flap when it closes up. But for the inside, you're good to go. Okay, so there's that one. Now we'll do the bottom. Not too difficult to follow, right? I think on this type of a project, I was just reading directions, and I think that's where it gets a little confusing. It's hard to explain sometimes things in writing without a visual of what the person means. So once I watched a video on making these, it just kind of came together rather quickly. Now, I know my stripes are going in different directions. I did that on purpose. I'd like to create a little different visual element. So super cute. I like that these are going this way while this one's in the middle. All right, so that's all you need for the box itself. So I'm gonna set this aside, let that set for a little bit. And now I'm gonna bring back in my inside layers. Okay, so this is your card divider, and this is what's gonna hold those cards tucked into the back. And I will admit my original box was all of these little gift ones, and I didn't realize when I cut the pattern that my boxes were going this way. So for the card divider on this project, I'm doing the polka dotted ones, which I don't think will really matter. But that's something to keep in mind too when you're cutting a paper that has a pattern. You need to think about, you know, your length and your width as far as what direction that is going to get cut into. So, but you know, it's a happy mistake. I think it'll look pretty with that. All right, so there's that one. So now here's our 2 little pocket tabs. This was the one for the 4 1/4. Oop. Over just a smidge. All right. Now I didn't add any like double layering. It's all the designer series paper right onto, you know, the paper itself. Same thing with the cards on the inside. My layers did not have a lot of dimensionals. That way you can add more. All right, so when doing your lid, because of the paper that I used has a direction to it. I want to make sure that my greetings are going in the right order. So if you set it up where two sides are going in one direction and one side is going the other, it should be okay. Like if this was my front of my box, I don't want my words upside down. Okay, so that's just a quick tidbit. I know I'm getting a little off on that. All right, so whoop. And just add this down. All right. And then the lid is just like any other box that you kind of stick together. You want to add your tabs like that. So just fold them one in on the other. So we will add some adhesive to one tab here. And have these two tuck in. And then I'm going to take this top tab here and I'm going to fold it down like that. And this is where you're going to stick your little square that we cut out. And that is all the paper that we need to stick on. Okay, and then let's repeat on this side. And this just gives, I know we could have cut it, when we designed the box, we could have cut the lid, you know, on the longer edge versus this short edge, but I feel like because the lid is going on and off so often, that I wanted a little support to the side part, if that makes sense. And so if we had cut here, I'm not getting the support that in this spot that I want. And you'll see, like once you put this together, you'll start to understand kind of like the little quirkinesses of it. And or if you're somebody who doesn't really overthink that stuff, you'll probably be better than me with it. So, all right, so there's the box. I'm just going to give everything that quick second to dry. And now I have a little visitor jumping in my lap who might want to say hello. There she is. So we'll get her off and move on. Okay. Cats are nowhere to be found until mom sits down and tries to craft, right? Okay. Same thing if you have children. They don't bother you until you sit down to make something, and then the chaos starts in the background. All right, so for our box assembly, super simple. We have our card divider, and we're going to fold in on our score lines. And for these, I do want to give it a little bit of a bone fold because I want these to sit nice and tucked in and not loosey-goosey, because you want to have, you know, that straight. It's all about having like the box close up. So I'm going to start, again, I'm so sorry, with this portion here. And this is where I'm going to add adhesive. And it's going to sit in this section. And we're going to take this edge and we want to line it up with the score line. You don't want to go onto the score line. Again, this is where things need to be able to sit up. And so before you glue, If you were lifting this edge and it's not going up easy, you need to scooch this back just a smidge because you're getting resistance from that score fold. So add your adhesive here. Okay. And we are going to, I just want to make sure, yep, that's good. And that's a nice thing with like the Tombow glue too, is you have a little bit of wiggle room. So if it was slid in the wrong spot, you could scooch it. Where if you're using like the tear and tapes or the multi-purpose glues, and not, excuse me, multi-purpose glues, snails, you don't have a lot of time to move things around. Once it's stuck, it's stuck. So I put some adhesive on this side. Now I'm bringing this up and I'm meeting these two edges there. Okay. Now I'm spinning my box. I want to do the same thing. Add my adhesive here. You know, this was one of those assemblies too where I couldn't quite figure out how to get this recorded without being a long video, and I felt like when I was doing it earlier I was rushing, and I don't want to rush. Like, this has a lot of little parts, but as I've said before, and I'm not lying, it comes together so quickly when you're doing it on your own. Someone explaining it and walking through the steps obviously is going to look like this is a cumbersome project, and it is not. All right, so I think I'm just going to tip this down and add, just making sure this is stuck pretty good. All right, and you can see just from standing this up, that's a pretty deep looking pocket there. So you can fit a good number of cards or a notepad or something that has a little bit of a thickness to it, and you know, it's not going to affect the box from closing. So it's a really cute gift to give somebody too. All right, so now we have our little tabbed sections here for the front pockets. We're going to fold these down. Okay, so there is no bottoms to these, which is fine. You could have we could have created something that has that. It's not necessary. This part right here is going to stick to the back of this, and then this pocket will tuck in right on that side, and it's all nice and snug here, and it will fit, there we go, nice and perfect in there, nice and snug. And then yeah, you don't need a bottom to it because there's a bottom there. Okay, so I'm gonna start. I think this glue is almost out. We've used quite a bit in both boxes and cards that I've created, and I will quickly show you the cards. So I am using the edge of the box here. I know it's hard to see with my hands in the way, and I want my sides to be nice and straight. Okay, so while that's there, I am going to run a little bit of multi-purpose right down the side of that, because it will stick to the little pocket and add a little support to those two, kind of keep them from wobbly. All right, so this will go here and here, and you push them together. All right. And then I just like to take my bone folder and give them a good push down. All right, so that, oh geez, I put my paper upside down when I put my tab upside down. So make sure you pay attention to that. Oh goodness. Yeah, I'll just keep that one for myself. Okay, so that is the whole box itself. Now, so down here, I've seen many different where they've added a calendar, a little notepad. My original goal was to do like a little card list where you can check off if you've sent and received Christmas cards or greeting cards. I've also seen where they kind of create a pocket like this, just a little narrower on the score lines to hold some stamps. This, I think, is just a lot of open to your own interpretation. What do you prefer to use it for? Originally, when I was making this, I was like, well, this could be a nice writing surface. So if somebody's got their cards right in front of them, they could write it down. But then I realized, well, it's kind of a wasted space. And that's when I did the little Post-it pad on this one. And to do the Post-it pad, I just cut a strip of designer series paper, the width of the Post-it pad. Now I will say you might want to go just a smidge wider by like maybe 1/8 of an inch, because the Post-it notes kind of wiggle a little bit. And so part of the yellow Post-it is showing. And so I think it was 3 by 6.5. And I just wrapped it around the Post-it note and creased this side with my finger. I did add a little bit of adhesive to keep it from, like Post-its, they want to pop up on their own, and then I glued it down. So you do have a little space. I know you think maybe it's too thick, but the way that this comes together is, here's your front of your pocket, here's your score line, so you do have like a little gap there. And so when you're closing this up, it just fits nice and snug right in there, and you don't have any bulging or pushing out. So you do need to pay attention to what, you know, how thick a notepad is, but a little Post-it pack, you know, is a good size. And then for the pen, so this is the RSVP pens. I love these pens. You can decorate the barrel, which is super cute. I did not, because I like hoard these pens. But you certainly could, and what you would want to do is cut a designer series paper to the width of the barrel. So you're going to go from the grip down to here where that blue end starts. And obviously you want to give it maybe about 3/4 of an inch wide. And you'll curl that paper with your bone folder. Okay, so just give it, you know, some curling, and then you would roll it and just trim it so that you can fit it inside. And just, you might have to use like a poker or a pencil or something to just push it all the way down. But once it's down, it's super cute to have it decorated. This one was almost out of ink, and that's why I didn't really take the time to do it. I should have for the demo, so again, I'm sorry. But yeah, these twist off super simple, and the ink just comes right out, and then you just tuck it all back in. You add that down and add that. And if you're giving it as a gift, it's like a little completed set. To get your pen on, now I will say the RSVP pen fits just right in here. I was a little nervous at first. I thought it was going to create an issue with the sides, but in the end it didn't. But yeah, so pay attention to the length of your pen too before you stick it in there. And lastly, what I did was I just took the paper, kind of tuck it under the pen cap. And you want to make sure you can still slide it in and out. And then I added the glue. Oop. Just about. Come on, we're almost done. Like right about there. Okay. Now you could double roll this if you want to have a little bit of more, you know, support to that. But, okay. So I'm just going to squeeze this for a minute, let it set. And I want to roll so my seam is at the bottom. And I'm going to run some Tombow there. Okay. And then I think this was kind of the position that I'm in, and I'm going to tuck that down. All right, move this one out of the way. So the last thing that you'd want to do is decide your decoration for the exterior of your box. For my original one, I just wrapped ribbon around the entire thing, okay, and finished it off with a bow. So because I wanted everything to lay flat, I glued this ribbon down first and ended it, you know, overlapping, and then I tied the bow separately and then adhered the bow on with some glue. Actually, I used some glue dots and glue. I wanted it to be nice and firm. All right, so that is the project. When you bring this up, oop, I'm going at the wrong angle. There you go. Your lid will fit nice and snug. And again, you could decorate this with a nice greeting on the front, some more trim or ribbon around the top. Super, super cute. I know this video is a little long, and with the TikTok shorts and Facebook reels and YouTube minis and long videos are just not what's happening anymore. So if you're still sitting here watching and following along, I want to say how much I greatly appreciate that. But again, I think when you're watching it and you see what's going on, you can understand short videos for just directions don't always work quite as easily. But I just wanted to quickly show you how I did the projects inside. And for my little tags here, these are from the Memories and More pack from Stampin' Up! And if you're not too familiar what those are, they're pre-designed little cards in 2 different sizes that are meant for a pocket style scrapbooking, but they are the perfect types of paper to make quick cards. So you get a variety of 4x6 sizes. This pack happens to come with some stickers, some vellum or clear sheets with you know, little greetings on them. These are like wood elements that say like Merry Christmas, celebrate, these little stars. You can pop them out, color them. Those are just extra pieces that were snipped. And then you get all of these smaller sizes sitting in there. So I took the Holly Jolly one and I trimmed all around the edge of this particular card. And then for the Joy in Peace, I took a stitched oval framelit and just cut out around, added the little holes, and that gives you a quick and easy tag. I will say add some white paper to the background, and that way you'll have a little place to like address the tag too. And then I have the quick cards that I used. So Santa is one of the smaller cards. I just fussy cutted him out. I've got Christmas, and this is just layered with a bow. This one is like my favorite. I just love the gingham ribbon, adding some dimensionals. And this is just, again, one of the cards, no stamping. And this one is wrapped a little bit like a gift. And there are 4 in here, and the 4 envelopes, and you can probably fit 4 more and 4 more envelopes. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe and ring the bell, and that way you'll know when I pop on here on occasion and share a video. So thank you for watching. Have a great day and happy stamping.